Who's on the podcast?
Oh, today it is. We have Nicki. Nicki Sanders is here. Cameo is here. I'm Dallin. We're here to talk about what's been going on with Coinbase, the SEC, and now Binance is getting dragged into it. And I think that there's a conversation to have about the separation between Coinbase and Binance, because they are, I think, different things are being alleged. Mm-hmm. And so we can get there. Real fast, BTC is at $27,056. ETH is at $1,880 today.
Oh, not bad.
Look at it move. So I don't want to read this claim because this is for later. The SEC is making some bold claims. To start, the SEC reiterated its stance. This is the block writing, that well-known crypto assets, including Solana, Cardano, Polygon, are all securities under U.S. law in a lawsuit against Coinbase, while adding further tokens to the list as well. The developments came a day after the SEC filed a lawsuit against Binance. The agency repeated claims from yesterday's lawsuit against Binance that Solana, Cardano, Polygon, Filecoin, Sandbox, and Axie Infinity are securities. Axie Infinity is a game token.
It is.
That's interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah. Strong claim.
That's a strong claim. That's all right.
Okay, we'll get to it.
In this filing, the agency also included tokens that weren't mentioned in the Binance lawsuit. These were Chills, Flow, Internet Computer. I have Internet Computer, ICP, Near, Voyager token, Dash, and Nexo. Flow is the native token of Dapper's Lab blockchain. The SEC previously named Dash as a security in a lawsuit against crypto exchange Bittrex. The SEC previously listed 9 tokens as securities in its insider trading case against a former Coinbase employee. Oh. Mm-hmm. It also claimed multiple tokens related to Luna were also securities in its complaint against Terraform Labs and Do Kwon. So I forgot. So the SEC case against the Coinbase employee, the insider
trading. Yeah.
That sounds like the first time that they listed those tokens as securities.
Yes.
This is like we're slowly inching on the ground of this is within our jurisdiction.
Yeah, but how did that case end up? I think I can't remember how they argued it.
I don't either.
Maybe.
But they haven't come out and brought suits against those 10 companies.
No, just
right?
just the Coinbase employee.
Just the exchanges trading them.
Yeah.
And saying you're an unregistered broker.
For facilitating the sharing of these things that we haven't actually issued lawsuits against, right?
Right.
Like they haven't issued any lawsuits against those companies yet.
I mean, Well, that's one thing in U.S. law, everything, if it's a security, it is automatically a public security, and then public and private have kind of different rules. But to have private, you have to fall under an exemption. So everything's by default like a publicly traded security, unless you fall into Reg A plus. Those are some of the crypto ones people have been going after for security tokens. Being like, no, we fall under these exemptions. We're private, because then you don't have to be traded by an exchange. You could be traded by an ATS or alternative trading system. Mm-hmm. There's just some different rules involved. So that's why they're coming at Coinbase being like, you guys are trading legit securities, which means you have to have an exchange license, which in the US, I think there's 8. It is not something that's easy to get. Mm-hmm. There's not many of those. But ATS to be an ATS is it's a lower barrier. Mm-hmm. That's pretty easy to get.
Well, and them coming so strong again at Coinbase, and what a great way to just cut crypto off at its knees, remove the places that people
can trade it.
Especially since the majority of people, their onboarding experience might likely be a Coinbase experience.
Sure. Mm-hmm. It's very user friendly. Mm-hmm. You can just connect your bank account, or can you do credit cards now? I remember.
I do.
Yeah, right to it.
Yeah.
So that onboarding, offboarding experience is super easy. The app is very easy. There's the fees are are reasonable. That's where I think I bought my first Bitcoin.
It's definitely where I bought my first Bitcoin,
mm-hmm.
and other things.
Sure.
It's not where I do the majority of my trading now, but
same.
But it is just a great entry point. So it's very savvy of them to start there.
Yeah, and then U.S. based, so it's more trusted. for me.
Oh, that's
Like
interesting.
sometimes you're like, this is a random website, but Coinbase,
that was kind of my issue with Binance, right? And
Yeah.
because when I first tried to get in on Binance, I found out that there's a whole separate place, right? Binance.us that you have to go through. They have a
Yes.
different KYC process. They have all
Yeah.
these different things. And the whole time I was like, this feels weird.
it feels a little scammier.
Yeah, it feels
like,
a little different.
like less professional.
Right.
Yeah.
What did you find? What was your research? How did that lawsuit end up?
So I'm actually still stepping through. I mean, the guy got arrested.
Yeah, he did get arrested.
And I'm pretty sure the charges went through.
I can't remember if he was convicted
because
and what
it was
went through.
insider trading and wire fraud. So it was I got to purchase these tokens before they were publicly available.
Yeah.
Which, all right, fair enough. But it's interesting because in this same article, Gary Gensler also said basically Bitcoin was the only token he felt comfortable calling a commodity.
Mm-hmm.
So even then, now this was what, July of last year. So I'm willing to bet his position has since changed from there.
Changed in what way?
Well, he's so far, and I actually need to double check. I don't think that he has said that Bitcoin is back on the security side.
Mm-hmm.
But now that staking, it seems like staking is their main focus now.
Okay.
This seems to be the case for this recent lawsuit, at least for the Coinbase side, is that the staking is an investment that is not registered correctly.
Okay.
Compared to, just purchasing ETH or whatever. Let me bring up. So Coinbase's legal chief, who is a riot to follow on LinkedIn, I highly recommend that you see his content. He's pretty
I had no
funny.
idea.
He's
Yeah,
quite
I'm gonna
spicy.
have to do that.
Coinbase's top lawyer says he's disappointed that the market's regulator took action against his company, but they will continue to operate our business as usual. Coinbase's top lawyer chided the Securities and Exchange Commission in congressional testimony as he testified before a House of Representatives committee during currently drafting legislation to create a new framework for digital asset markets. So Congress is working on this. Yeah. His quote is his quote is,
well.
"It's disappointing but not surprising that the SEC has decided to bring legal action against Coinbase today, the day of our testimony before this committee's critical hearing on creating a workable framework for digital asset regulation." This is Paul Grewal is his name, by the way.
Okay.
Hours after the SEC sued his company over the alleged securities law violations. The solution is legislation that allows fair rules for the road to be developed transparently and applied equally, not litigation. Strong agree.
Yeah. +1.
Yeah. Despite today's complaint, we will continue to operate our business as usual, he said to Congress.
Oh. Oh.
The SEC has accused Coinbase of willfully violating securities laws by listing unregistered securities and offering its staking program. And I'll get into the actual claim of their, this is like 5-page document. I'll just kind of breeze through it later. But it's interesting. So Coinbase lawsuit comes a day after the SEC sued rival Binance, its co-founder and CEO, and its American affiliate Binance.us. Yesterday, after the Binance lawsuit news, Fireblock's chief legal and compliance officer warned that all exchanges operating in the United States should now consider themselves on notice that they too could be subject to securities laws enforcement if they continue to make these tokens available to trade.
Dang.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the chilling effect is occurring, and this sounds like what they want.
So the Binance lawsuit's a lot different, though,
I
than
agree.
Coinbase. And their focus, the staking definitely stands out on the Coinbase as what they're really taking offense out of, among other things, of course.
Yeah.
But they're they're saying mishandling of funds, commingling of funds, lying to regulators. There's some concerning things going back
If it's
to
true.
being sketchy. If it's true.
And I remember before the FTX fall happened, when the Binance CEO was accusing SBF of things,
Yes.
like when it started getting shaky, and SBF was like, "You guys are doing the same thing,"
I
throwing
remember
it
too.
back.
Uh-huh.
And it kind of simmered down and we kind of like stopped talking about it. And now I'm like, was SBF right? Or is this all speculation?
Right.
I have to say, it wouldn't surprise me to learn that CZ was playing fast and loose with the money and
doing wash trades,
Yes.
faking trade volume.
yes,
And
faking trade volume.
If they can show that that's what occurred, then this is a good thing for the SEC to try to get in, right? This is exactly the thing for them to be policing.
Sure.
Yes. But that's if that's the case. And also kind of leads us back to the original point is there should be regulatory bodies that and regulation that already understands because like it doesn't translate 1-to-1 the stock exchange versus a Coinbase trading platform. Like it's just not the same.
Yeah.
Could be similar. And their whole point is in practice, it's similar, right? For the SEC, they're like, well, people are throwing in money into Bitcoin and hodling because they think it'll be worth something else someday. And that's a long-term investment. And that's what you're selling.
People do the same thing with Beanie Babies and
Right.
Legos.
Right.
Yeah.
That's my thing.
Exactly.
I've got Pokemon cards at home. I do the same
Our
thing.
Beanie Babies securities. Like,
our Beanie Baby securities. I have
let's
a
argue it.
whole room in my house that is just boxes for the Star Wars kits
Right.
that my kid built when he was 6 because we assume if we hold on to him for another 30 years, they'll have made us some money.
Now,
That's
the
a good
main, and this also isn't in their favor, but the main difference is none of us are buying pizza with Pokemon cards, right? There's an actual exchange of services or goods that we can do, but I can't do that with anything that I'm holding in Robinhood. You know, I can't roll in and buy a movie ticket with my Meta stock. Like it's just so fundamentally there are some differences.
Sure. Like the fungibility.
But that's why we need different rules. That's why I don't think the SEC is going to make. They're not going to get what they want out of this because it doesn't function the same way. This is almost them trying to say you can't use money as money except for our money.
That is what they're saying.
That is exactly what they're
exactly
saying.
what they're saying.
I mean, didn't Gary Gensler, I think, said it was yesterday, recently, I think his quote was around something that we already have, there's no need for more digital currencies because we already have digital currencies because fiat currencies now are digital. And I just like sat there and like, I was like, what?
Yeah.
What the fuck is he talking about?
It's
like,
all in
are you
COBOL.
kidding me?
Yeah.
It's all in COBOL.
Does he that was so like the most insane thing to me. I like to process. I was like, is he being purposefully obtuse or does he really believe that?
He does not believe that. I don't believe for a second he believes
because
that.
he taught cryptocurrency courses at MIT. He's not an idiot. He knows how the underlying technology works. He knows how it's different than the USD that I have in my bank account that's on a spreadsheet. And like when you do trades, it's all just completely on spreadsheets, but there's this weird settlement time and things can get duplicated and messed up versus how the blockchain tracks transactions. And how could he even make that claim? Like, can you do peer-to-peer transactions with digital USD? Can I self-custody my digital USD?
Well, you can stick it under your bed.
But then it's no longer digital.
All right.
It's no longer digital. Like
Right.
that to me, I was like, what is he talking about?
He's playing politics where he's making statements to be manipulative because he knows they'll play into the media a certain way. Right? Like everybody's playing a manipulation propaganda game to see who gets to own the future of how we interact with each other and how we barter.
I also think there's an amount of capture that's happened in politics in general where the idea of modern monetary theory is that all money's made up anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we can just make as much as we want. And I think that we're starting to see the evidence that that's what's been going on. We've
Forever.
just been making money. And when that is on a chain and everybody, if the money is an actual finite amount, if we're all talking about BTC all day and we move to paying rent in BTC and our phone bill, like there's only a set amount and it genuinely takes the power out. And with modern monetary theory, I mean, you can go and make infinite amounts of fake money until something crashes. But this seems like it can cause that crash so much quicker, because the second that people understand, and right now it's such a low uptake, right? So few people here have cryptocurrencies. It just in the world in general, I guess. That when you hit that tipping point and people just abandon their government fiat for something that we all can agree on what the value is. I mean, what are they controlling?
Right, that takes the power away, which I'm assuming that's the whole point is. And then also the rich people obviously want to maintain the system that they currently have, instead of the more democratized capital system that I think a lot of Web3 enthusiasts are hoping for and pushing for.
Yeah.
It's just frustrating because it's just not like an intellectually honest argument. And I don't think most people understand enough to realize that. And that's what they're banking on.
Yeah, especially still kind of coming out of last year in FTX. And I think you make this point a lot. There's just a lot of bad actors still.
Yeah.
And so if they can kind of continually instill that FUD back into people and make people afraid of cryptocurrency, we all know they're moving towards replacing fiat with their own digital currency. Like that's their end game, one that they can control rather than a bunch of systems that they have no control
Which
over.
a lot of people are against, like a CDBC situation. And for me, I still see it as a step better than traditional fiat. Yeah, I'm like, okay, sure, they can like mint more of the tokens. I'm fine with that. I understand, like in modern economics, sometimes like with inflation happening, like there's some balancing that the Fed likes to have.
Manipulation.
So, manipulation. But then we can see it.
Yeah.
Like
on chain, right?
On chain. I'm like, and I'm fine. Like if they're like,
Yeah.
we're going to, we're creating this much more every year, we can look up on chain, see the total supply. I have no problem with that.
Yeah, that's
like,
better.
I have no
It
problem
is.
with that. Like, I'm not going to abandon my Ethereum and my Bitcoin.
Right.
But would I use a CDBC instead of US dollars? Yes, I would.
And probably not really even notice the difference.
No.
They're printing money already.
Right. I feel like it'd give us
33 trillion or right.
Give me a little bit more transparency. Like, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Like, anyone who thinks that the US dollar and modern fiat is going away in any of our lifetimes it's not being realistic.
Well, and also I think a big complaint you see from people about a central bank kind of controlled currency is, they'll be able to track us like the Chinese do, and they'll be able to see our every movements.
They
already
do.
Yes,
Yeah.
they have complete access into, unless I spend cash, which, by the way, is why cash is the currency of the underbelly of the world, right? Because it's untraceable.
Yeah.
Almost like digital currencies are.
It's actually funny. We talked about
like,
this a couple weeks ago, 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, where there's a fraud fighter that I am familiar with, and he has he does content and stuff, and he had been making this argument about how cryptocurrencies are rife with crime, and I was like, buddy, it's dollars. Like it's so 2-3 days ago he posted a clip and he was like, people think that BTC is anonymous. It's not anonymous. It's on chain for everyone to see. And I'm like, buddy,
exactly.
He's here. Okay, we made it.
You came all the way around. No,
We
that's
made it.
what cracks me up is that people get caught with crypto fraud all the time because it's so hard to
can't cover it
hide.
up.
Yeah.
It's so hard. Like you can try to use mixers but that's tedious. It's slow.
And you can still use an AI to track all of that.
Yeah,
you
I'm
can
like,
still get
it's all
something.
traceable. To me, that's way safer than US dollar, like paper money.
Yeah.
And I mean, the FBI's been able to recover a bunch of the stolen funds because they were storing the private keys on a centralized server. Like could they have done that with cash?
Right.
No,
it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that cracks me up. I'm like, I would much rather be scammed with crypto than cash.
Yeah.
You're way more likely to get it back, in my opinion.
Yes.
Yeah.
that's
Or at
true.
least like watch that wallet and like the second they move, like you're on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I once had a really good scammer. I worked in fraud, and these guys still got me. And I lost about $2,200 to these people. And it took me a fair amount of fight to get it back.
Dang
I
it.
got it back.
Oh, nice.
But it took me a fight, right? Whereas, I mean, the part of the issue with crypto is like, you have that moment where you send it to the address and then it's just in the ether.
I do.
Free fall, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do. You do the test first, and you like
Yeah,
watch it, and
you
you're
get
like,
my $10.
okay. And then, yeah, I've been in crypto for how 8 years, and I still do test
Still do it?
transactions. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
trust it.
So the other claim that they're making, and I want to get back into Binance in a second, but
Okay.
this is the big claim. SEC claims, this is again the block writing Michael McSweeney. SEC claims Coinbase's staking service is an investment contract in their lawsuit. And I've got the lawsuit up, we can read through it. But that staking would factor heavily into the SEC lawsuit is unsurprising given the Wells notice Coinbase received this spring and past comments from the SEC chair about staking services alongside similar action against Kraken. Gensler said this morning that Coinbase never registered its staking as a service program as required by the securities laws, again depriving investors of critical disclosure and other protections. So staking was the one thing I was worried about when the Wells notice came out.
Yeah.
Because it does look the most like a security. It's still different. Like they're talking about critical disclosures and protections and stuff. And that's, I mean, yes, I guess you can put your money into a slush stake and somebody can do stupid things with it and you'd be out. And so, yes, if the only thing that's required, and Coinbase has tried multiple times to file, right? This is the part that's so frustrating, is that they have gone to them.
That's what they're like. They didn't file the right thing, and you're like,
yeah,
They used you for guidance.
and they have been asking and asking. I mean, unless they're completely lying, which I just don't think that they are.
Coinbase,
Right. I don't think that they're lying about asking.
No, why would they?
You're right. I'm like, so that makes me so frustrated because I'm like, they have been asking what they need to do and if this falls under current regulation. And according to Coinbase, it's been radio silence from the SEC. And now they're coming at the whole thing is insane.
just rife with gaslighting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. SEC, the ultimate gaslighter.
Right. I love it. It's so true. It's so true.
So this is where it gets interesting. In arguing that Coinbase's service is an investment contract, the complaint discusses benefits, quote, benefits that may not be available to those investors if they were to stake crypto assets on their own, end quote. This is the one argument, because if we're just staking ETH in a liquidity pool, just in a stake pool, right? You can just do that on the ETH chain. You just do it. You don't have to do it through Coinbase. You don't have to do it through any, right? You can, you're staking it, you hold it. And
you could stake yourself. Yeah.
Their argument is because you're doing it
As a group?
as a group, that you don't necessarily know what your benefits or risks are. I don't know how that would be different than me doing it by myself. You know, do we all
what
need
benefits do I get from Coinbase in that situation?
volume? It's larger volume. So in the name of DeFi, which isn't even what Coinbase is up to, right?
No.
But in the name of DeFi, I could see this being a topic of conversation that the SEC would want to talk about, because like if we all pool our money to start doing like short-term loans for whatever, that's probably something that the SEC should have a talk about. I don't know. I still don't know.
Probably a rule.
Yeah, there's probably a rule there. And that makes more sense to me. But like just saying staking in general is a securities contract, I don't see what they're saying. Today's action has a U.S. state dimension as well. The Alabama Securities Commission issued a show cause order to Coinbase in conjunction with 9 other state regulators. The show cause order focuses on Coinbase's staking service and, quote, gives Coinbase 28 days to show cause why they should not be directed to cease and desist from selling unregistered securities in Alabama, end quote. The statement notes that the ASC action does not prohibit Coinbase from offering staking as a service so long as it complies with Alabama's laws. So I'm more curious to see how this lands on the state level.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because I think we all know what the SEC is going to do. They're going to continue to try to say no until
It's going to play out in the legal system.
Yeah. Whichever happens first. I do take hope in the fact that the committee was actually meeting with the Coinbase president. Like they're trying to actually figure out what crypto regulation will look like federally.
Yeah.
That is good. And I hope that goes quicker than, these court cases are going to take another decade anyway. The situation echoes the $30 million settlement struck earlier this year between the SEC and crypto exchange Kraken. Similarly, the SEC accused Kraken of offering unregistered securities. Kraken neither admitted nor denied the findings, but agreed to stop offering on-chain staking to U.S. customers.
Right. Yeah, they turned it off.
Yeah, they just shut it off.
Yeah.
Today's action should make clear to the marketplace that staking as a service providers must register and provide full, fair, and truthful disclosure and investor protection, Gensler said at the time. So they're doing this because of how Binance handled their finances, and probably FTX too. But not having a clear understanding of where your money is going is a valid thing to have a problem with at Binance. Fine.
I don't disagree. Like if it's about trustless, I should be able to see what's happening with the money.
Right.
I think
that's the point.
Yeah, but this is a centralized exchange, so it's not on chain, which there's an argument on, it's an exchange. It's nice to have it off chain because then you can do coin to coin swaps with like minimal fees. Everything's allegedly stored and safely in a cold storage situation. Allegedly, that you hope but yeah. So that's a great argument against the centralized paradigm versus the decentralized paradigm of crypto in general, where I see both sides. I see the need for both sides. But then if the US is going to regulate all of the centralized exchanges like to the bone, then what's the next option? Decentralized only, right?
That if people in the US want to play in crypto. Yeah, because just like ICOs, they once they crack down hard enough, Coinbase can operate other places. We'll see Binance do the same thing. They'll just restrict US.
Yeah, just shut us off.
Well, I'll just shut off our accounts or get VPNs. Not looking at anyone.
I don't know how to use a VPN.
That's weird. Not me.
Yeah, that China's seen how well it's worked for them.
Right. Even they keep walking it back.
I know.
I feel like China bans crypto every 3 months or something, and then all of a sudden it's not. I don't know. I feel
they don't. I think China's in the spot where they don't want their citizens to have crypto, but they realize they need the money. So the government's totally down to get as much BTC as possible.
I could see it.
The SEC also argues that Coinbase used to hold the same position the agency does. Coinbase published its own document on securities law and cryptocurrencies in December 2016, indicating that for most tokens, parts of the Howey test, a legal precedent used in the U.S. to determine if an asset is a security investment, are likely to be met, is their quote. So we're going to go ahead and dig that document up and go through it.
So they're using Coinbase's own document that Coinbase wrote in 2016 against them as part of their complaint.
That's right.
In the lawsuit.
That's right.
Which is, I want to really read that document because I think Coinbase, I remember at the time, was extremely specific on what they would list because they were scared of them being securities. So they were really
yeah, that was the point of the doc. Now that you mention it, I remember this conversation.
They were like, okay, we're not going to list this random ICO token because it's in the gray area. But then something like Ethereum, Bitcoin, pretty confident, not
commodity.
Yes.
Interesting. That's a good point. We do need to go through that because, to your point, they are probably misquoting.
Yes, I feel like
they. Yes,
I would say so. I'm no lawyer, but seems suspicious.
Coinbase responded to the SEC's lawsuit against the exchange, claiming that the agency's approach is damaging America's ability to compete economically.
Yes.
Quote, the SEC's reliance on an enforcement-only approach in the absence of clear rules for the digital asset industry is hurting America's economic competitiveness, and companies like Coinbase that have a demonstrated commitment to compliance, said Paul Grewal, Chief Legal Officer and General Counsel. Yet he added that the exchange plans to continue as normal.
I love that.
The solution is legislation that allows fair rules for the road to be developed transparently and applied equally, not litigation. In the meantime, we'll continue to operate.
Yep.
And then following his comments, Coinbase's CEO tweeted, instead of publishing a clear rule book, the SEC has taken a regulation by enforcement approach that is harming America. Mm-hmm. So if we need to avail ourselves of the courts to get clarity, so be it.
Yep.
So we're going to watch this fight. We're going to watch it for a while. Armstrong noted that the lawsuit was heavily focused on the issue of whether the exchange was listing securities. On this point, he said the exchange was confident in their approach. So this is, I wonder how far up we're going to see this fight go.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what we think the possible outcomes of this are.
So one possible outcome is that the United States Congress gets all of their shit together all at once and writes all the regulation very quickly.
Okay.
All right.
Anyone want to bet on the possibility?
That was a very funny joke, Dylan.
That's option one.
Okay.
I'm going to put $100 on it because I'm pretty sure it's 3 million to 1 on that.
Okay.
Good odds. Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't seem very likely.
Yeah, I think that's first. The truth is, I could see this going so far as them building out another agency.
Oh,
truthfully, I could.
okay.
Or
We probably need one.
I think we probably do as well. The problem is because we have the SEC and then we have the CFTC that are both kind of like shouldering each other in for who's got jurisdiction over this.
Yeah.
And it's because they're both trying to see what sticks in the courts, which unfortunately is sometimes how jurisdiction is established.
Sure.
So if we are to be subject to the Wild West of agencies dragging companies into courts to see what sticks, we're going to see this go all the way to the Supreme Court, is what I think.
Good.
Agreed. Well, good and bad. My problem is, I mean, at least I think the Supreme Court, I've spent a lot of time watching the way that they respond to a lot of issues, and they do at least seem to listen and take a lot of things in before they make decisions, which seems more than what I can say for the average court case on their way up, you know? But my concern is that we have technology advancing so quickly. Yeah. And we have, I mean, I don't want to say legacy systems in our government, but they are.
They are, absolutely.
Yeah, we have old people building laws about things that they just don't understand.
Right.
And I mean, and young people too. We have dumb young people. We have dumb old people. Everybody gets to make laws. Yeah.
Everybody gets to make laws.
Yeah, but it's not like technologists making these rules. It's politicians who are mostly lawyers, I would assume. And like, sure, they might have a lot of education, but they don't understand these technological systems.
Right. And then you also have the other side where you have so many politicians that were involved in FTX. You know, they all were getting money from these big exchanges. Yeah. And that makes things worse because you can't even trust them to build regulation around what's going to work or what's feasible or what's best. They're just kind of taking their word for it from the lobbyists and like, oh, you're right. We should vote this way. Thank you for that really cool Tesla.
Yeah, they like cash their check and nod. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's just tough. And I do see this playing out in the courts. The unfortunate part of that is that takes time and that's slow. And in the meantime, it's stifling innovation here in the US where we have such a cool opportunity and such a great leg up on the world. I mean, we're known for our great technological innovations here. What a cool opportunity to really run with this and go. and then to have the government come in and like scare people, so things are going to move offshore. People here aren't going to be exploring that technology. To me, it's like sad and like such a miss and such a waste of the great tech talent that we have here in the US and the cool financial innovations that we could come up with.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and I mean, even now, let's say we were all involved in some companies that were helping to build, their own tokens and some kind of marketplace in between them.
Right, like a node
That's
economy.
weird. That's weird. I think I've heard of it.
Yeah, something like that. Kind of starts to make us go, so what do we do?
Yeah.
How do we do this then?
Yeah.
And I feel like that chilling effect is happening all around us. This valley in particular, we aren't the only company trying to solve some of these problems.
Right.
So that's to your point, that's the thing that I'm most concerned about.
Yeah. Like VCs are getting scared to put money into it. So it's just slowing down the whole ecosystem.
Well, and then the US is going to get left behind on key innovations that have a true potential to change the world.
Yeah.
Because people will no longer explore the potential of blockchain technology if you criminalize crypto.
Sure. Oh yeah, because you can't. I mean,
you can't.
They're too tightly coupled.
Yes.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. This is going to be an interesting one to watch. I'm curious who else is going to get dragged into this.
That's the next thing, because in theory they need to level a lawsuit against every single exchange.
I think Gemini is probably next.
Gemini, I would expect, would be the next
because they're
on the
big, well known. Who even still operates in the US? I mean, Bittrex was shut down. Who's still here?
I actually wonder if Cash App is going to get hit.
Oh, see, like PayPal, Cash App, Venmo.
Yeah, Cash
what
App.
Are they going to do?
Honestly, Cash App was like my first intro into buying crypto, because I like my Cash App card because they give like 10% in BTC back on a purchase, or
nice.
So they were the first ones to kind of get me into it. Mostly during COVID, during the meme coins and all of that. That's how I was making moves in there. So right, it's not just because that's not really an exchange, right? But I'm still, to the SEC's eyes, buying securities, getting in on investments. So where is their line?
Yeah, is it buying and selling? Is it trading?
I'm imagining you can buy your Bitcoin here machine that's at the laundromat that's close to my house.
Is that now an unregistered exchange?
Right. I don't know, because
I
can buy
the gas station
Bitcoin,
right over there.
I can buy anything else through it.
Yeah.
At really crappy prices.
Those exchange rates are no good.
They're so bad.
Like I think the last time I looked, it was like $2,000 or $3,000 more for one Bitcoin than it was than the current trading price. Yeah. So, but they would have to get rid of that too, right? If you don't want people buying anything other than Bitcoin and Ethereum, although they've indicated that they're not willing to let Ethereum run either. So,
right. Yeah. Now they're coming at Ethereum staking. Like, yeah. Where's this going to all fall? I'm curious. Where's it going to fall, and how long is it going to take? Because time's a ticking. And things are moving.
And some of us need to move our assets.
Or go and buy a whole lot of Bitcoin before we can't get access to it anymore.
Yeah. And I mean, Coinbase just set up like an entity in the Bahamas? Was it Bermuda, Bahamas?
Yes. It was Bermuda or the Bahamas.
It was in the Caribbean, because they're like, all right, well, we'll have an offshore entity. And that's what everyone is going to do. They're all going to go offshore. Americans are going to get really good at using VPNs.
Yeah.
And it's all going to happen under the table.
Yeah. Most of us are already pretty good at using VPNs.
Well, we are in Utah.
We are in Utah.
That's only if they don't give more increased KYC requirements to these, because a VPN will only help you so far. If they make KYC incredibly aggressive, it's hard to fake KYC if you have to provide like real information about yourself.
Yeah, but some like random little country doesn't often have those same rules. That you could be like, yes, I live here.
Yes.
That's true. Yeah. I live in Sri Lanka. I'd love 1 whole ETH. Thank
Yes.
you. Excuse me.
Thank you. One ETH, please.
1 ETH, please.
So yeah, but the US already has like KYC rules, which is why Binance even split to Binance and
Right.
Binance US. It was because the US was like, you guys, for this, I can't remember the exact reasoning, but it was like, now you need KYC. Like when I first signed up for Coinbase, I gave nothing.
It's for OPAC.
I gave nothing.
It
was the anti-terrorism stuff, right?
Yeah.
But they
Although
all complied. They all did it. They were like, cool, look at us following the rules.
Mhm. Well,
There's not that much evidence that cryptocurrency was funding terrorists anyway, not compared to cash.
not compared to cash or, the U.S. government.
Well, that too. Yes.
It's,
Yes.
I have Venezuelan devs who love Binance. We were
Oh yeah.
talking about it just recently. They're like, we know you guys don't have it there, and I was like, we do.
We know you guys don't have
like,
it there.
we have the weird version. Yeah.
we have a watered down version of Binance, but we do. They really enjoyed it. So on Binance, let's hit this real fast, and then I have a funny story. I'll just read you the title real fast. Sam Altman joins investors in $19 million round for crypto life insurance startup. We're just going to keep.
Wait, that's the Chat GPT guy?
Yeah.
How much?
19 million.
This is his, I think, second announced crypto.
Yeah.
WorldCoin, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
investment
WorldCoin.
in like the last.
Oh, that's curious. I love personally like the intersection between Web3 and AI. And I am so curious. Like I want to see where this goes.
Yeah, what they're
I
doing.
love those technologies together. I
They
want
have
to
a plan.
see. Yeah, this guy maybe like disagree a little bit with like what he was saying to Congress about like, oh yeah, we need to regulate AI,
yeah.
but not me. Like I already
Yeah.
did it, but I saw how dangerous it is, so only me.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, okay, fuck out of here. But
Yeah.
So here's
but he's definitely a visionary.
Yeah. So meanwhile, a digital asset denominated life insurance provider today announced $19 million in fundraising across 2 rounds. The Bermuda-based business said that it had closed 2 seed stage rounds. The first was led by OpenAI CEO and WorldCoin founder Sam Altman,
Makes sense.
alongside former head of Stripe issuing, I don't know how to say it, Lachy Groom. Lachy. I've never seen that first name before. Gradient Ventures, Google's AI fund, led the second round. So
Interesting.
yet another, let's go set it up in the Caribbean
Yeah.
somewhere.
Well, and Bermuda actually is a huge insurance company spot. Well, a lot of like that's one of their major industries.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I would love to know more about why.
Yeah. Somehow their regulations are just really favorable for insurance companies. So a lot of them start up there and they have Bermuda addresses, but like one building, has,
Yeah, like
tons of
like
companies.
the one in Delaware.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Same kind of idea, but for insurance.
Interesting.
So it kind of makes sense that they would incorporate
just
there.
go hit there.
Yeah.
The fresh funding paves the way for it to be licensed and regulated as a life insurance firm by the Bermuda Monetary Authority. It will also be used for hiring as the startup gears up to launch its first product, Bitcoin-denominated whole life insurance.
Interesting.
That is
Fascinating.
interesting.
Yeah, that's cool.
I would be way more interested in signing up for a Bitcoin-denominated life insurance program right now.
Then you think how many people use full life insurance
I don't
as
know
an
how much,
investment vehicle
exactly.
for their person. That's interesting.
I don't know how much my $100,000 policy is going to be worth when I need it.
Right.
$100,000 is kind of a moving target in the last, let's say, 15 years.
Right.
This
This is actually like an appreciating asset.
yeah, exactly.
That's fascinating.
That's a-
Deflation.
Yeah,
That's cool.
it's a good pitch.
I
I'm
like
in.
it.
The company is called Meanwhile. That's why it was taking me a hard time to understand the sentence because it kept starting the sentence
With meanwhile.
with meanwhile.
That's a cautionary tale about names.
That's
Yeah,
funny.
absolutely.
So not great branding. Okay.
Yeah. As one of the few innovators in money in the last century, Bitcoin is on track to become a global store of value and functional currency, said Zach Townsend, a co-founder and CEO of Meanwhile. So that was my quick aside. There's more stuff happening. Let's finish up on Binance and then we'll call it for the day. The SEC has applied for a temporary restraining order freezing assets held by crypto exchange Binance.us following its lawsuit against the exchange.
Yeah.
The motion requests the freezing of assets of the BAM entities which operate in the U.S. exchange.
Did they ask the same thing in the Coinbase lawsuit?
No.
They did
no.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, if they're accusing Binance of wrongdoing, makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's kind of why I think it's interesting, because on the one hand, we have Coinbase getting in trouble for staking and a disagreement on which tokens they think mean what.
Yeah.
And then we have Binance that is kind of maybe doing some slushy stuff with their money and not really sure where it is. So they're trying to freeze the assets.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how people take them, because right now I'm seeing online, everyone's just, they see it as the same things, right? And
You're right, but it's two very different lawsuits.
honestly, it's worse for Coinbase now being
lumped in with Binance. Yeah.
That's my opinion.
I think the timing is
On
interesting. On purpose, right?
Yeah.
They went after the one that looks on the surface the most like FTX, which is still very fresh in people's minds as evidence of the scammy nature
And they're
of
trying to
crypto.
relate them together.
And they're trying by doing the follow-on to make it seem like they have a stronger case against Coinbase than they actually
I think
do.
so too.
Yeah, it was strategic timing by them.
And they waited until Coinbase was talking to the congressional committee.
That's some wacky. That's wacky.
They did it the
honestly.
morning of. They knew it was happening, right?
They did.
Anyway.
Oh, that's just like icky to me.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Like it just like
Yeah, it's not good. Now, a lot of these stories are developing as we go. I would love to sit down. I'm actually going to go through the actual case and kind of break it down. I'd love to actually just go through the case itself later this week or early next week, whenever we can.
Okay.
We'll just talk about it.
let's do it.
All right, guys, thank you so much for listening. This has been Crypto. We are available everywhere, so please share us, give us a like, subscribe, Apple Music or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere else I can think of. We'll add it to
Twitter?
the list.
Twitter bites.
Bites. Oh yeah. Share all of
Ooh.
our little bits of content as we create them, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Ciao.
Ciao.